Part 170. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1691. Chapter 1691. She doesn't like playboys. Nangong Yu, no woman has ever dared to speak like this in front of me. Mr. Huo, I'm sorry for irritating you. I didn't mean to do it, but please respect yourself. She was usually gentle and polite to others, but it didn't mean that she, Nangong Yu, had no temper. She would never be tempted by a who was not emotionally dedicated. She was extremely sure of this. Nangong Yu and Huo Yangzi broke up on bad terms. Siyu was extremely happy to hear this. After this incident, Nangong Yu and Huo Yangzi did not see each other for a whole month. All cooperation matters will be communicated to the assistant. She will supervise the whole process, but she will not see Huo Yangzi again. A month passed, and Nangong Yu felt that Huo Yangzi might have lost interest in her. After all, she was just a special woman who passed by Huo Yangzi inadvertently. Although, occasionally I think about it, it's a bit heart-wrenching. Soon, Nangong Yu packed up his emotions and devoted himself to work. She has never lacked suitors, but there are few who are worthy of her. Nangong Yu knew that he was not interested in those people, so he would not waste time. If she has an appointment in her spare time, she usually goes shopping and eats with Beijiu and Mo Xiongnuan. On this day, she made an appointment with Mo Xiongnuan and Beijiu. Later, Beijiu told her to call Ye Qingfeng again. They all have a good relationship, which is of course nothing. It's just that Beijiu and Mo Xiongnuan were delayed by something on the way to their appointment. On the contrary, Nangong Yu and Ye Qingfeng, two people who got off work on time, arrived first. Nangong Yu was not in a hurry. Those two girls have always been prone to procrastination. Ye Qingfeng shook his head. You didn't let me pick her up. She said she wanted to go with Nuanuan to do something first. When I mentioned that person, my eyes were full of doting. Tender and smiling, two extraordinary and handsome people walking together always make people take a second look. They didn't know that Huo Yangzi, who was sitting on the second floor, happened to see the scene through the glass partition. He was so angry that he clenched his fist and smashed the glass, wiping blood from his palm. This month, he tried hard to restrain his urge to see her, but he still couldn't help it. Sometimes he would even act like a despicable stalker, standing in front of her company just to take a look at her. Unexpectedly, that woman was not affected by him at all. Yes, there is a gentle and handsome bamboo horse beside her, so naturally she doesn't take him to heart. Siyu, who came back from the bathroom, was about to talk to her, Brother Yangzi, we. At a glance, she saw that Huo Yangzi's palms were stained with bright red liquid. Oh, Brother Yangzi, your hands are bleeding. Siyu was startled and held Huo Yangzi's wrist. What's going on? Why is it bleeding? Huo Yangzi shook her away suddenly, as if she had hit some garbage. A hint of darkness flashed across Siyu's eyes, but she quickly put on a concerned expression. When Nangong Yu and Ye Qingfeng were led to the second floor by the waiter, they saw Huo Yangzi and Siyu standing close to each other from a distance. Nangong Yu only glanced at it and then looked away, only slightly retracting the fingers hanging by his side. Is that Huo Yangzi? What happened between you and him? Brother Qingfeng is so smart, he must have figured it out. Ye Qingfeng smiled, I guess a little bit, but your development doesn't seem to be going smoothly. Nangong Yu shook his head, I have never thought about developing anything with him. Compared to an exciting life, I envy the relationship between daddy and mommy. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1692. Chapter 1692, Beating your wife feels good for a while. Sometimes things are just such a coincidence, and Huo Yangzi naturally left. But if he had waited for another minute or two, he might have been able to see Beiju and Mo Xiongnuan, who had arrived late. Unfortunately, when seeing is not necessarily believing, some people are still annoyed by it. Huo Yangzi's mood has been gloomy for a whole week. The employees of Huo's enterprise feel that there are dark clouds hanging over their heads this week, which can be described as miserable. Hien is the worst one. He is always prepared to endure the boss's temper. If it weren't for the high salary and the friendship he had known his boss for many years, he would have changed jobs long ago. "Boss, please take a look at this design drawing. It was sent from Nangong Group." Huo Yangzi glanced at it and asked, "Redo it?" Hien always knew that Huo Yangzi was unreasonable, but he didn't expect that he would become so unreasonable because of Nangong Yu. But he was just a small assistant and could only reply to Nangong Yu according to the boss's words. Nangong Yu was not upset and asked someone to modify the design again. But when the revised manuscript was sent over, Huo Yangzi still refused to approve it. This was repeated 3 or 4 times. Nangong Yu was not angry, but the designer below had to find an explanation. She personally called Huo Yangzi's office and was transferred from Hien to Huo Yangzi's internal line. She asked Huo Yangzi why he refused to approve it, and Huo Yangzi finally stated his real purpose: "If you have any questions, come and talk to me in person." "Huo Yangzi, don't bully others too much. I don't have it, it's just a matter of your design draft." As for what the problem was, he refused to specify. It was clear that he deliberately asked Nangong Yu to find him in person. I have to say that Huo Yangzi's calculation was very accurate, and Nangong Yu came after all. She came to Huo Yangzi's office without hindrance. Based on her past experience, she deliberately knocked on the door several times, but this time she did not hear a response from the person inside. Nangong Yu asked and found out that Huo Yangzi had just taken Hien out. Nangong Yu frowned slightly. She had clearly made an appointment with Huo Yangzi yesterday to meet and talk, but now that he was doing this, he must be deliberately making things difficult. She is indeed patient, but that doesn't mean she is willing to be teased by Huo Yangzi for no reason all the time. This time she directly dialed the private number Huo Yangzi left for her. This number was left to her by Huo Yangzi a long time ago, but she had never dialed it. The first time she used it was in front of Huo Yangzi's own office, which was ridiculous to think about. When I answered the phone, what came from the other end was not the usual hello, but an extremely definite, "Nangong Yu." Nangong Yu also didn't expect that Huo Yangzi was so sure it was her. After all, she had never left a private number for Huo Yangzi. Without thinking about it, Nangong Yu got straight to the point and mentioned the design drawings. Huo Yangzi held the phone and listened quietly. Hien on the side finally understood that everything happened because of Nangong Yu. It turned out that Nangong Yu's influence on the boss was so profound. Just a personal phone call calmed his general anger. As for that personal phone number, no more than 3 people in the world know about Huo Yangzi's personal phone number. Even he only got it 3 years after working for Huo Yangzi. This Nangong Yu, whom I have known for less than 3 months, actually has. Hien couldn't hear what Nangong Yu said on the other end of the phone. He could only hear his boss urging him to change the white gauze wrapped around his hand with his eyes while talking on the phone. The author has something to say. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival everyone. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1693. Chapter 1693, Unable to control his hands. Boss, is this thickness okay? Wrap it in 2 more layers. But all this. Hien's words were stopped by Huo Yangzi's sharp eyes, and he swallowed them back. Hien really wanted to say that this hand was wrapped bigger than a rice dumpling, but anyone would notice it at a glance. If it is wrapped in 2 layers, it can be used as a sandbag. But since the boss insisted, he had no choice but to do it. Finally, Huo Yangzi looked at the white gauze wrapped in layers and about 3 centimeters in diameter on both sides, and smiled with satisfaction. It turned out that the scars on his hands were all scarred today. At first he was thinking about how to cover it up, but then an idea came to him and he suddenly thought of using the trick, which is still a painful trick. So leaving before Nangongyu arrives and doing this superficial work may get twice the result with half the effort. Nangongyu was really unhappy waiting this time. Even though Huo Yangzi told her to stay and wait for a while on the phone, she was still unhappy. Why does she have to work so hard without complaining? She also has a temper. With this thought, she wanted to leave. But when she walked in front of the elevator and pressed the down button, there was a ding sound, and the elevators opened. There were 2 tall figures standing inside, Huo Yangzi and Hian. You want to leave? Now that Mr. Huo is back, let's continue. Nangongyu had no choice but to turn around. Huo Yangzi was passing by. At this time, Nangongyu heard Hian's voice, "Boss, be careful." She took a curious look and saw Hian carefully guarding Huo Yangzi. The palm wrap thicker than a rice dumpling was particularly eye-catching. Nangongyu, Huo Yangzi was chased by his enemies when he went out. Nangongyu followed them into the office silently. He didn't show any concern or even say a word of curiosity along the way. This made Huo Yangzi very depressed. His hands were covered with layers and layers, and they were extremely hot, but Nangongyu didn't even care. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. Boss, please be careful and don't let this hand get hurt again. Hian pretended to praise and put on a show, just because the boss promised to give him a year-end bonus. After leading both of them to the office, Hian retreated wisely, and before leaving, he specifically asked Nangongyu, "Miss Nangong, you also saw that our boss's hand is seriously injured, so please pay more attention to it." Hian specially hinted that she should pay attention to Huo Yangzi's seriously injured hand, so as to comfort her with a few words to promote feelings. But obviously, Hian was thinking too much. Nangongyu first nodded and said, "I will pay attention, please don't worry." Then, she put the design drawing down and specifically asked Huo Yangzi to keep a distance. Huo Yangzi looked at the woman who made her heart itch. Not only did she not care about her hands, she even sat 1 meter away from her. She was so surprised. So angry. Huo Yangzi frowned and said unhappily, "Nangongyu, do I have a virus? Do you have to stay so far away from me?" Nangongyu explained, "Well, I was afraid of accidentally touching Mr. Huo's wound." Huo Yangzi raised her lips slightly, "Oh? You mean you're afraid that you won't be able to control yourself and touch me? What nonsense are you talking about? Am I talking nonsense? If you don't touch me, how can you hurt my hand, huh?" Nangongyu knew that Huo Yangzi was not a serious person yet. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1694. Chapter 1694. Wife, dear. Mr. Huo, I'm here to discuss work with you. You rejected our design drawings for no reason without giving a reason. I hope there is a reasonable explanation. Nangongyu always talks about work. Huo Yangzi, whose bitter meat plan failed, looked lazy and didn't seem to care much about it. You said so. Yes. When your company first cooperated with us, Huo's Enterprise, didn't you seriously understand the style that Huo's Enterprise really wanted? See this design for yourself, the designer's style. Huo Yangzi became serious and made sense of every word. Nangongyu was very teachable and carefully wrote down the deficiencies pointed out by Huo Yangzi. She benefited a lot from the brief exchange. Because of communication, she occasionally met Huo Yangzi's eyes. For the first time, she knew that Huo Yangzi's serious look was really very charming. They say serious people are the most attractive, and she believed it? Nangong Yu. You don't have feelings for me, right? Nangong Yu paused for a moment, then opened his lips and said, Mr. Huo may have misunderstood. I only regard Mr. Huo as a partner, nothing more. If I have done anything before that caused you to misunderstand, I am here today to solemnly I apologize to you. Her lip shape is very beautiful, and she also looks good when she talks. But why do gentle words sound so harsh to our ears? This woman is really indifferent. Huo Yangzi was the first person to use the word indifferent on Nangong Yu. Nangong Yu said goodbye to Huo Yangzi after speaking clearly and coherently. Unexpectedly, Huo Yangzi didn't say anything to ridicule or anything else. The moment Nangong Yu walked to the door and opened it, he hesitated, turned around, stared at Huo Yangzi's heavily wrapped hand, and said, Mr. Huo, please take care of yourself. After the words fell, the beautiful figure also disappeared. Huo Yangzi punched the table again, but this time he felt no pain at all. Probably because the wound was scarred and a thick protective shield was put on it, so there was no pain. After this brief exchange, Nangong Yu spent all his sleep and food to find out all the information related to Huo's enterprise. There is a large space in it praising Huo Yangzi, a legendary figure in the business world, who has carried forward Huo's enterprise and achieved such brilliant results today. In the picture, Huo Yangzi's handsome and criminally handsome face is particularly clear. Nangong Yu rubbed his fingers against the computer screen and whispered, no wonder so many women rushed to the door. Nangong's house, there is a lot of noise downstairs. Nangong Luo, you bastard, how dare you touch my lipstick? I accidentally broke one. You don't wipe it off anyway, why are you so angry? Just wait, I'm going to scratch your precious cars now. You don't usually drive them anyway, so you won't be angry, right? Wife, Li Yulai, my dear, I was wrong, please forgive me. The day after tomorrow, no, I will definitely give you a complete set of lipsticks from this brand tomorrow. Oh, what a beautiful idea, it's out of print. I'll see how you can make it happen for me tomorrow. Oh my God, God is going to kill me, Nangong Luo. Nangong Yu stood in the stairwell and listened quietly. She often stays at home and in the apartment. Today when she came back, she saw her parents quarreling. It should be said that this is called romance. Watching my naughty parents arguing and arguing, I felt very warm. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1695. Chapter 1695. So, she doesn't want him. After dinner, Nangong Luo quietly pulled his daughter aside and extended a fist. My dear daughter, my father's wealth and life are all tied to you. Nangong Luo opened his fingers mysteriously, and inside lay the half-broken lipstick entity. Nangong Yu resisted the urge to laugh. What does daddy want me to do? Your mother wants this lipstick, but she said it's out of print. Is there anything you can do? Hearing this, Nangong Yu couldn't help but laugh. Daddy, what mommy just said was just a lie to you. This lipstick was the one I brought back last time for mommy. It's not out of print. Nangong Luo. He is stupid. He actually believed what Gongqin Li said. That woman just wanted to see his joke. Your mommy is bluffing me again, take it, I'll settle the score with her. Nangong Yu directly stuffed the lipstick remains into Nangong Yu's hand, and walked towards Gongqin Li majestically. After a while, fighting broke out over there. Nangong Luo, you are really going to rebel, how dare you challenge me? Nangong Luo, who had his ears pulled, begged for mercy again and again. I don't dare anymore. I don't dare anymore. Nangong Yu stood behind and pursed his lips with a smile. Look, this is the life she wants. And Huo Yangzi, who lingers among flowers, is obviously not the best candidate. So, she doesn't want him. 2 months later, Mr. Huo will celebrate his 70th birthday. Mr. Huo held a grand birthday party and invited successful people in the business world and even famous people in various circles to participate. As a partner, Nangong Group is also invited. To show sincerity, Nangong Yu needs to attend in person this time. When she saw the beautifully dressed Siyu standing arm in arm with an elegant and dignified woman at the banquet, she learned from others that these two were the eldest daughter-in-law and granddaughter of the Huo family. It turns out that Siyu is Huo Yangzi's sister. However, they are not biological. Siyu is called Zhong Siyu, taking after her mother's surname. Her mother was married to Huo Yangzi's father for the second time. No wonder Siyu is hostile to her. Just because she is not her biological child, does she have other thoughts about Huo Yangzi? Yet Xingfeng did not come to this birthday banquet, but asked his assistant to bring a big gift. Nangong Yu is not as comfortable as last time because he doesn't know most of the people here, and even if he does, he is not close to them. Although she has no shortage of company, she doesn't like to be with people who have ulterior motives. Nangong Yu rejected all ambiguities and liked to stand by the window. Huo Yangzi caused a commotion when he appeared, and he was particularly dazzling today. Having not seen him for a month, Nangong Yu couldn't help but look at him twice. It is undeniable that this man is really attractive. The more you look at him, the easier it is to be tempted and attracted. I don't know if Huo Yangzi felt her attention, but he caught her gaze and looked directly over. The two people's eyes met in the air, and Nangong Yu's hand holding the red wine glass shook. But because of the distance, no one paid much attention to such small details. And Huo Yangzi only looked at her twice more than others. The next moment, he pretended that this person was not there, turned away his eyes indifferently, and stood on the stage with the old man of the Huo family. At that moment, after hearing the polite official words countless times, Nangong Yu's brain almost filtered them automatically. The only thing that cannot be ignored is Huo Yangzi, who stands in the field with a unique and outstanding momentum. Nangong Yu discovered that almost everyone present today was accompanied by young girls. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1696. Chapter 1696. The former Nangong Yu. Zhong Siyu found Nangong Yu and saw her standing there with a demure look on her face. She was obviously among the crowd. She was wearing a blue dress and looked outstanding. Zhong Siyu walked towards her and greeted her skillfully, "Miss Nangong, we meet again." "Miss Siyu. Miss Nangong came alone today." "Okay. I wonder if Miss Nangong has noticed that there are so many young girls coming to Grandpa's birthday party today. Mr. Huo is respected by others, and there are countless people who are willing to come to celebrate his birthday. It doesn't matter his gender or age." Nangong Yu avoided the important and ignored the easy, not wanting to be led away by Zhong Siyu's words. But Zhong Siyu had to say, because Grandpa has told everyone before that he wants to use this banquet to find a suitable fiancé for brother Yangzi, so they all brought girls of the right age to celebrate his birthday. "Oh, that's it." Nangong Yu nodded as if he suddenly understood. Seeing that she was not affected at all, Zhong Siyu asked unwillingly, "Don't you have any other ideas?" Nangong Yu smiled slightly and asked, "What do you want Miss Siyu to think of me?" Zhong Siyu frowned and asked, "Don't you like brother Yangzi?" Nangong Yu took his time and made a statement at a normal speed, "I think, Miss Siyu, you must have misunderstood something. Mr. Huo and I only have a business partnership." What Zhong Siyu dislikes the most is the way she sees everything clearly, which makes her feel like a clown in front of Nangong Yu. Hear what Nangong Yu said about not liking Huo Yangzi? Just a partnership? But she felt deeply that Huo Yangzi cared very much about Nangong Yu. She even overheard Huo Yangzi talking to her grandfather in the study, and Nangang Yu's name was mentioned in the conversation. You must know that although Huo Yangzi is famous, he has never acknowledged anyone. Everyone may be his female companion, but they are definitely not worthy of being his girlfriend or a deeper relationship. Even if it was a matter of family members, Huo Yangzi would never mention the names of those women. Once she made some insinuations, she realized that Huo Yangzi actually didn't remember the names of those women at all. But Huo Yangzi mentioned Nangang Yu in front of the old man for the first time, which was simply incredible. So, Zhong Siyu knew that Nangang Yu was her biggest stumbling block. You stole her daddy from her when you were a child, and when you grow up, you want to steal the person she likes? Absolutely not. When Zhong Siyu looked at Nangang Yu, a trace of hatred flashed in his eyes. That's right, she is actually Zhong Yun's daughter Zhong Yu. Before she was 3 years old, she was called Nangang Yu. After Nangang Yu and Zhong Yun had a falling out, Zhong Yun had to leave with her daughter. The two of them did not live a very good life. But by chance, Zhong Yun rescued Huo Yangzi's father, who fell in love with her at first sight. So, Zhong Yun and her daughter were taken back to the Huo family. Although the old man strongly opposed it at the time, Zhong Yun still used various means to marry into the Huo family. It's just that the old man didn't allow Zhong Yu to change his surname. Later, he changed his name to Zhong Siyu. Zhong Yun lived a life of prosperity and wealth after marrying into the Huo family. As Zhong Siyu grew up, Zhong Yun would occasionally mention things from her childhood, but her tone was filled with hatred and disgust. So Zhong Siyu felt that the Nangang family had abandoned their mother and daughter since she was a child. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1697. Chapter 1697. She drank the glass of wine. Miss Nangang, I heard that it must be very hard for you as a woman to support the Nangang family, right? Fine. Why do your parents just throw the burden on you, a weak woman? If you can do it yourself, why not share the burden with your parents? Zhong Siyu lowered her eyes slightly. It sounds like Miss Nangang is really filial. My parents raised me and loved me, and now it's time for me to repay their kindness in raising me. Nangang Yu responded calmly and fluently. Zhong Siyu paused and added another question inexplicably, are Miss Nangang's parents very close to each other? Nangang Yu simply explained, they love each other very much. Zhong Siyu closed her lips tightly and gritted her teeth hard. Her heart seemed to be boiling with a hot fire, causing her jealousy to grow. Why? Originally, she was the only eldest lady of the Nangang family. Her mother was Nangang Luo's wife, but Gong Qinli and Nangang Yu took everything away. Zhong Siyu hated it so much. If Nangang Yu had not appeared, then maybe she would still be the only daughter of the Nangang family. She would still be worthy of Huo Yangzi, and she could even like Huo Yangzi openly without worrying about the rumors outside. However, all this became Nangang Yu's. Zhong Siyu was convinced that Nangang Yu had robbed everything that originally belonged to her. I just heard that Miss Nangang returned to Nangang's house with her mother when she was 3 years old, and Zhong Siyu deliberately mentioned what happened back then. At that time, Nangang Yu was still young and didn't understand many things, but when she grew up, Nangang Luo and Gong Qinli didn't hide anything from her, so she knew exactly what happened that year. Zhong Yun's boyfriend died in order to protect Nangang Luo. Nangang Luo became a fake couple with Zhong Yun for 3 years because of guilt and emotional pain. However, in fact, they never obtained a certificate from beginning to end, and their relationship was not even recognized by law. Later, Gong Qinli's return made everything clear, and the lovers finally got married. So, Nangang Yu will not be affected by the oolong at all. MSCU, everyone is saying what they say. Don't believe everything that is reported outside. The benevolent sees benevolence and the wise see wisdom. The implication of this statement is that she listened to rumors at will and was not smart enough. Zhong Siyu couldn't hold back her face. so she could only respond with a fake smile, "Oh, look, how can I bring up these old things? Miss Nangong, please help yourself, I have to entertain other guests." When Zhong Siyu left, she accidentally bumped into the tray when she saw the waiter delivering the wine. No one noticed that a small pill fell into the drink and dissipated quickly. Zhong Siyu pointed at Nangong Yu and said, "The lady in blue over there needs it, so you can send it over." The waiter who served the wine nodded. Zhong Siyu stood aside and saw Nangong Yu taking the wine glass with his own eyes. Zhong Siyu's heartbeat gradually accelerated. When they heard Mr. Huo on the stage say in public that he hoped his grandson Huo Yangzi would find a partner as soon as possible, she saw Nangong Yu raising her head and drinking down the wine in the glass. Zhong Siyu clasped her hands tightly, and when she saw Nangong Yu's wine glass bottoming out, she was shouting crazily in her heart. She is going to succeed. Today, she is going to ruin Nangong Yu's reputation. Didn't those people describe Nangong Yu as emerging from the mud but not stained? Didn't those people praise Nangong Yu for being smart and wise? Doesn't Huo Yangzi like Nangong Yu? Then she will make Nangong Yu embarrassed in public today. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1698. Chapter 1698 Accident at the Banquet. When Nangong Yu heard Mr. Huo say in public that he hoped Huo Yangzi would find a partner, he felt as if he was stabbed in the heart. She didn't know what to do, so she just happened to hold the wine glass and drank the glass of wine in one gulp. Just after a while, she felt a little warm. I don't know if it's because there are too many people in the hall, but it feels a bit stuffy. She felt that she should go out for some air now. But after taking 2 steps, she felt that her steps were a little frivolous. She held onto the table, lowered her head, and bent her body slightly. Her head felt a little dizzy, and she wondered if she was sick. He wanted to take out his mobile phone to contact the assistant waiting outside, but was inadvertently stopped by Zhong Siyu. Zhong Siyu came over and stroked her hand. "Miss Nangong, what's wrong with you? I seem to be feeling dizzy and feverish. Is there a temporary medical room here?" She remembered that Huo Yangzi had such an arrangement last time and she needed to see a doctor. Zhong Siyu grabbed her hand and held her handbag tightly. "Miss Nangong, please wait a moment, I will contact you right away." By the time Zhong Siyu's heart began to beat slowly, Nangong Yu had already lost his mind, and his fingers were opening the thin shoulder straps. She felt like her body was next to a stove, so hot. Seeing that his plan was about to succeed, Zhong Siyu secretly rejoiced. "Oh, Miss Nangong, what's wrong with you?" She deliberately increased her volume, causing everyone around her to look over. What Zhong Siyu is thinking is that as long as Nangong Yu really reveals something in front of so many people, after tonight, Nangong Yu will definitely become the laughing stock of the upper class circles. Just when Nangong Yu couldn't bear it anymore and was about to untie her shoulders, a domineering and powerful man suddenly took her hand and pulled her into his arms. Huo Yangzi's generous body blocked everything for her. Ignoring everyone's doubtful looks, Huo Yangzi directly pressed Nangong Yu into his arms. "Grandpa, I think I have found the right person." He threw a heavy bomb and forcefully took Nangong Yu away. Everyone was led by Huo Yangzi's actions and words, and they didn't remember to think about Nangong Yu at all. Nangong Yu, who was brought out by Huo Yangzi, was extremely uncomfortable at the moment and kept twisting in Huo Yangzi's arms because she felt very uncomfortable. Huo Yangzi put her directly into the car and patted her cheek. "Nangong Yu, please wake up." At this moment, Nangong Yu couldn't hear what he said clearly. He just wanted to take off his clothes, it's so hot. This situation is all too familiar to Huo Yangzi, who has been in love for a long time. Nangong Yu must have taken that drug by mistake. Sure enough, Nangong Yu took the initiative to approach him. "Huo Yangzi." She approached him with blurred eyes. Huo Yangzi was fixed on her look because it was so tempting. Help me, Huo Yangzi. Her body seemed to be on fire. Huo Yangzi was heartbroken. When Nangongyu entangled him again, his rationality was almost overwhelmed. He opened the car door and took Nangongyu back. But this time it's not a banquet hall, but a hotel room on a high floor. Please bear with me a little longer. She was disobedient and could not stay peacefully in his arms. She was thirsty and wanted to drink water. When she entered the room, she accidentally hit her head on the wall. The stinging feeling made her regain a little sense. Huo Yangzi didn't pay attention and went in to find water for her. Nangongyu took out his mobile phone, pressed the contact set by the shortcut key, and called Beiji Yu. It was Ye Qingfeng's voice who answered the phone over there. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1699. Chapter 1699. Please, don't. I am Ye Qingfeng, and the moon is in the changing room. Beiji Yuanyang asked Ye Qingfeng to take her shopping. She was in the fitting room right now, and her cell phone fell into Ye Qingfeng's hand. They are all familiar people, so it's okay to answer directly. Brother Qingfeng, I'm here. Nangongyu reported his address directly. The next second, Huo Yangzi snatched the phone away and hung up. Ye Qingfeng, it turns out that the person you are thinking about at this time is still him. He was so irritated by the name that he threw the phone aside without even noticing that the contact's note was you. Nangongyu, whose ability to think has been taken away by drugs, is no longer able to refute his words. The reappearance of Huo Yangzi seemed to be the only straw she could grasp. It feels so uncomfortable, please help me. It was you who asked me to save you. Full of jealousy went to his head, and the woman he loved took the initiative to throw himself into his arms. No, don't do this. She could not imagine how miserable her condition was. Huo Yangzi was unwilling to let her go. Please, don't. Tears spread to her cheeks. She didn't want to be so bad in front of Huo Yangzi. Seeing her bite her lips cruelly to him, the corners of her mouth were covered with blood. Huo Yangzi clenched his fist and punched her side, staring at her with bloodshot eyes. You like him that much? I like him so much that I will be the first to call him when in danger, even resorting to self-harm to stay sane, because he is not that person, so I reject him in every possible way. He really wanted to achieve what he wanted at this moment at all costs. But looking at those tearful eyes and the low pleading voice coming from his ears, he still didn't do it after all. Huo Yangzi picked up Nangongyu from the bed, put her into the bathroom, soaked her in cold water, and called the doctor to tell them to come over quickly. This is a 2-hour drive from S, but Ye Qingfeng has connections all over the place, and it just so happens that Han Chi's tour is here. Han Chi led his people to find this place and confronted Hien at the door. I'm looking for Nangongyu. It's not convenient for Miss Nangong to see people at the moment. She is my sister, get out of the way. Sir, the Nangong family only has an only daughter. When did he have a younger brother? Hien was firm and refused to open the door. Han Chi was so worried that he immediately had people break down the door. Huo Yangzi only appeared after hearing the commotion outside the door. Han Chi reported his identity and Ye Qingfeng's name. Huo Yangzi smiled coldly and stood behind the door. The chain door lock was only half open. She needs to rest now and it's not convenient to see people. Just kidding, why would the girl he rescued be taken away so easily by Ye Qingfeng's people? Han Chi clenched his fists in anger. Huo Yangzi, you have no right to keep my sister. Are you her brother? Yes. Their families all have a good relationship. Although Han Chi doesn't often stay with them, as a man, he has the responsibility to protect them. Han Chi didn't know what was going on inside, so since Huo Yangzi wouldn't let him, he would force his way in. Smash it with me. Han Chi asked someone to open the door again, but Huo Yangzi suddenly opened it. You come in. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1700. Chapter 1700, Being Poisoned. Han Chi glanced at Huo Yangzi in confusion. He didn't care so much at the moment. He rushed in and saw a doctor wearing a mask and gloves standing beside the bed. And Nangang Yu was lying on the bed at the moment. Sister Yu. Han Chi called her, but got no response. What happened to my sister? Being drugged. Dose medicine, what about you? Han Chi immediately thought of something bad, and his whole face looked ugly. Huo Yangzi sneered, don't worry, I'm not that hungry yet. Hearing Huo Yangzi's words, Han Chi was relieved. Since this is the case, it means that nothing has really happened to Nangang Yu. Han Chi didn't know about the dispute between Huo Yangzi and Nangang Yu. He just saw that he hired a doctor to treat Nangang Yu, so he should be grateful both emotionally and rationally. Thank you, and I'm sorry about what happened just now. He was just too worried. What can happen between a man and a woman in a hotel is simply terrifying. That was his father's lifelong nightmare and his lifelong shadow. So he definitely doesn't want to see the people around him suffer misfortune again. Huo Yangzi tacitly allowed Han Chi to stay here, and he himself has been sitting next to him and never left. Han Chi contacted Ye Qingfeng on his mobile phone to assure him of his safety. Brother Qingfeng, don't worry, I have found Sister Yu, she is fine. Well, I'll wait for you to come over. No one noticed that when Huo Yangzi heard the name Ye Qingfeng, that made him feel extremely harsh. His fingers tightly grasped the chair, and his eyes seemed to be filled with storm clouds. He endured it and endured it. Snapped. Huo Yangzi finally couldn't help it, slapped his hand on the chair, making a huge noise, and then turned around and left. Han Chi stared inexplicably and only saw Huo Yangzi's back. Nangang Yu woke up leisurely, and Ye Qingfeng and Beiji Yu also hurried over. Sister Yu. When Beiji Yu saw Nangang Yu lying on the bed with a pale face, she immediately burst into tears. Ye Qingfeng patted her shoulder to comfort her, and Nangang Yu also gently shook her hand. Don't cry, sister is fine. She was only temporarily weak because of the medication and being soaked in cold water. After comforting Yu, she did not forget the people who came to save her. Ye Qingfeng, Zioki, thank you. Why are you saying these kind words? Ye Qingfeng shook his head gently and advised her to relax. Han Chi didn't take any credit, but just comforted her. Sister Yu, just be fine. I want to go back, please take me back. You are weak now, why not go back tomorrow? No. Nangang Yu shook his head and said in a very insistent tone, I don't want to stay here, help me. Her entanglement with Huo Yangzi and the unbearable memories here made her feel repulsed. Ye Qingfeng, Beiji Yu and others did not bother to get to the bottom of it at this moment, so they had no choice but to take her away according to Nangang Yu's words. Nangang Yu's current condition must be that he cannot walk, so he is held by Ye Qingfeng. Beiji Yu was only worried, Brother Qingfeng, be careful. Sister Yu, if you feel uncomfortable in any way, feel free to tell me. The four of them don't care about this, because they all regard each other as close relatives. But this scene was particularly dazzling in Huo Yangzi's eyes. Look, as long as that man appears, Nangang Yu will follow him obediently. And when Nangang Yu is in front of him, he will only use indifferent language to draw a clear line with him. In comparison, my sincerity is simply a joke. End of this chapter.